May you be supported.
Right, we are going live. We're just going to go live. Good morning. Oh, good afternoon, actually, now. Good afternoon. It's really great to be here. I hope you can hear me. This has been like a carry-on going live, like morning. So whatever could go wrong with trying to do a live video has gone not wrong. No such thing as wrong. Duality has been a challenge. So anyway, we got there in the end. Very thrilled to be here. I'm Jo Baldwin-Trott, as most of you will know, and I'm really thrilled to be here with the amazing Rosie Glow. And guess what? It has now started raining, so I am going to go inside on the move. This is hysterical. This has literally just started raining as we were going live. But you know, I'm just running with it this morning because it's just been one of those days, and I just think, well, let's just go live. Let's just do it. There we go.
Ta-da!
As if by magic, there we go. Anyway, Rosie Glow, multidimensional success coach. So a little bit more tweaking, and then I'm tweaked. And now you've got a nice picture of my toaster. What more could you want? How are you doing, Rosie?
Jo, that's because you're hot. You're toasting hot, babe. That's why. That's what it's all about.
I love you. I love you. You're my bestest friend. Oh, awesome. It's so brilliant to talk to you. You're like my we're not yin and yang as such. We're kind of like the two peas in the pod. You know, completely kind of complement and supplement each other in all ways to make a perfect pod of multidimensionality. I'm really thrilled to have you here today. You live just up the road from me. Actually, we probably were meant to get together. That was probably what was going on. We probably were meant to do this physically together. But anyway, we've defied all laws of tech challenges, and we've got here. So yes, bring on the goddess power. Bring on the goddess power. So very, very excited to have you on the Dharma Show this morning, or this afternoon now. It really has been a pleasure and a joy to meet you, it was only a few weeks ago, but obviously that's only in this life. Mm-hmm. We obviously have worked and been together in previous lives. So just tell us a little bit about you, Rosie. I'm just going to ask you to jump in and talk about what you get up to as your multidimensional coach self.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you for that. I'll try and keep this really brief. And yeah, just to honour you as you're the first multidimensional anything other than me that I'd met in the physical. So when you said multidimensional mentor, I was like, ooh, how interesting. So my background really started as a yoga teacher 22 years ago, and a Reiki master as well. And obviously this was an introduction into sort of 4D frequencies, and I became a young mum at 22. My daughter was born. And this led me very quickly into a path of working primarily with pregnancy yoga, baby yoga, fertility yoga. Then I became a tutor for the organisation I work with, which is called Birthlight. And this is very important because this is when I first got introduced to Bruce Lipton's work and epigenetics, and this idea that our perception shapes our reality, our experience of reality. And I was fascinated by that because I think, in fact, what got me to train as a yoga teacher was reading a quote, which was, as we change our view of the world around us changes. And I loved it. And that was my inspiration. That's what just brings me every joy in the world. So roll on 15 years of slogging it as a yoga teacher, having a business called Enjoy Yoga. And like the joy out of me had dropped because I was just working so hard. Everyone else came first. You know, still in a very much a lack consciousness, driving rings around myself and failing miserably in my own estimation. And it was actually a crux point when my daughter was really quite in an unwell way, and I needed to just drop everything, change everything, and upgrade what my expectations of life were for myself and for her. And it was also when I finally admitted to myself that I actually couldn't do the next bit on my own. Like whatever I'd tried to do and developed and managed to do to that point, I didn't have a partner. I desperately wanted a sacred union partnership. I really wanted to feel more effective in this world, and that actually my message could get out there in a bigger way because it felt important, although I didn't honor that because I had a key belief that I wasn't important as well. So roll on. You know, I don't know if you've read Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief, but like I found that really hard work. I did read it, Then he brought another one out called the honeymoon effect. And that blew my mind. I was like, wow, he's told me the what. How do I do it? This is exactly what I want. So I found my teacher through his recommendations in the book. And, you know, she had what I wanted. She's living in Kauai. Her name's Susanna Kennedy. She's wonderful, very ethereal, very Syrian. And basically, I just embarked on a journey. I accepted that I needed to go to someone who had what I wanted to be able to download those codes, because I didn't have them myself. I came from utter fear, lack, terror, stress. You know, my early messages were all about going wrong and worst case scenarios, etc. So I was just living a, you know, crash course of life all the time. And through the work that I did with Susanna, I basically trained with her, became an emotional mental detox coach, learned to reality craft. She calls her process reality crafting, working with the frequency of compassion and grace. And in the end, that's how my programs got created. You know, I did a couple of things with her, and it led to the creation of my signature program, Fearless, Loved Up and Free to Be Me, which is like a self-empowerment toolkit for stepping into your authentic truth. But it's really deprogramming from the societal, familial, cultural, religious conditioning that makes up your idea of who you are. And then brought it into who am I really? What's my soul truth? And that's kind of what I've been developing over the last 6 years. So been a lot of people that have come through that program, created Conceive with Ease, which was a version for pregnancy. Though I'll tell you what, the lesson I learned, get everyone to do Fearless first, because when you're fixated on something, it's the other stuff that happens first, right? So if you focus on your happiness, you get pregnant. If you're focusing on trying to get a baby, it goes the other way. So yeah, basically we're all our own worst enemy. You know, we all sabotage because we fear our own success. And I'm absolutely fascinated at this point, which is kind of what brought this retreat together, what it means to be an empowered feminine in today's world, because we have so many dodgy messages, so much gender war messaging. And the women I see who are powerful in this world, who are doing a lot of amazing work for equality, for, you know, all the stuff that needs to happen, very often we're having to take on the role of the masculine as we see it, which I would call the wounded masculine. And we're not really in our feminine power. If we dare to be in our power, we're persecuted. It's very important that we're able to resolve this internally and download the codes, as I would say it, that allow us to be heard in such a way that the ears will open and the heart will soften. And that's what the message I got and I've been working with in the last 6 months. I'll stop. You carry on, because let's make this a conversation.
No, it will be a conversation. But you know, I thank you for sharing all of that about you. And there are so many points to what you've mentioned that I resonate with. So many. Well, yeah, and I really relate. You know, I've published books to empower with, and I think the word empower is very interesting. I'm choosing to use it less and less. Because I think it implies that you're bringing something into someone. They already have it. Exactly. So therefore it's igniting the power. It should be ig power. That doesn't sound so good.
I'm just thinking, what's the word going to be? Because you're right. But it's a great conversation starter, though, isn't it? What does that mean? You know,
yeah, exactly. And just as the human spirit, and you know, you and I are so aligned in so many ways. Because yes, Bruce Lipton, you know, there are so many great people that are, and you mentioned the what, because, you know, I just really believe that all this focus from the very, very wonderful Simon Sinek about the why. So actually, if you focus on the what, the why is part of the what. That's Dharma. You know, that's why we're here. So focus on the what, because the what is you. The why is the expression. The why is the cognition attached to the heartfelt purpose of life. You know, that's up here still. That's up here. That's where we're at now. That's why we're in this mess. In my opinion, is that it's all about here. It's all about the cognition. It's all about the why. You know, and not actually. You know, it's not. Sorry, it's all about focusing on the driver of the why. So let's get back to the what. You know, what are you here? And you and I have had a very aligned Dharma, and it's just beautiful. And obviously, we're going to talk in a bit about the first retreat we're going to do together, which I'm really thrilled you invited me on. You had it. It's all very, very much formed, and I'm just kind of dip in and do my little part on previous soul lives, on timeline and clearing energy, because as you said right at the very beginning and very beautifully put, just really exploring, you know, what that truth is, to live in that wholly different state of divinity and bliss. And obviously with a complete appreciation that there are challenges. I've had challenges. Yeah, I've had physical challenges as well as emotional and spiritual challenges. However, what a powerful time to step into that time of divinity and bliss. And obviously the vibration and the energy is what you're all about. So it's fantastic. And obviously your background has very much come from this birthing and, you know, being a doula, and I love how you've connected. Just share a little bit about that, Rosie,
Sure.
about how you've kind of brought that into your work and why you see that so relevant.
Well, absolutely everything is a creative process, right? You know, when you go through bringing anything into the physical, it goes from an idea into a process of gestation, birth, and then nurturing in order for it to really take life of its own. And what I feel fascinated by is why we come to Earth. And obviously this is my take on it all, but from what I understand, people end up, well, as souls, we can create anything in the non-physical realm just like that. But when we come to Earth, we're learning to create in physical reality. We're learning what density means. It's part of our soul's growth. And, you know, we talked about the what, we talked about the why, but the how is another matter, right? So in my work, I've come to accept that our creative energy, our sexual energy, and our fertile energy are one and the same. You're right, babe. Where are you gone? They're one and the same.
I'm good. I'm just giving you the spotlight. People can really see you, because we're that mode where we're a bit further back in the screen. So just wanted people to bring you to the front.
Cool. Thank you. So yeah, our creative energy, sexual energy, and fertile energy is one and the same. So having worked a long time, like in the pregnancy world, I was seeing that women were very, very sensitive. You know, we want to be led. We want to know what to do. We want to do what's right for our children. But what happens is we end up going down a conveyor belt sort of preparation for birth, and we get told how to look after these children by our public health systems, which are basically based on the lowest common denominator. So, you know, if someone really didn't know what to do, what would you tell them? If someone really didn't have the education or the money to afford good food or whatever. And I feel like this has been a big issue for us all, because I found myself doing a lot of deprogramming in pregnancy, where I was letting women know that there was another way, that they could look at the positive birth movement, they could discover more about natural nurturing, etc., and how absolutely imperative it is. If we want to have peace on earth, we have to understand that preparing couples to conceive consciously, them being in a really good state themselves in their relationship before they even think about bringing a child into this world, that involves them being in a really good state in themselves first. You first, relationship second, bring baby into this world. But also, what world are we bringing these babies into, right? Because ultimately, the world at the moment is not one I would want to bring a baby into, not unless I knew I could access whatever resources I wanted or needed to be able to allow that child to have as much involvement in the main world as I felt safe and right, and then to be able to bring them up in a way that they could be part of the change and not be so heavily programmed into the compliance, right? So the short story is, I felt that pregnancy was too late, fertility was too late. What I really wanted to do was to catch people, you know, whether they've had their children already or not, how amazing would it be to just go through that journey of rewiring yourself? So looking at what you're living by. Your inner family can only be as healthy as the family grew up around, unless you've done a lot of work, which most of us have not, to deprogram from it. And I just did a post this morning about, you know, what were the early messages we received? And I was like, children should be seen and not heard, right? You know, women should know their place. Men should pay for everything. These were some that just came through that I remember in my early conditioning. Well, if I haven't evolved those beliefs, those expectations, that's what's running me. And I see a world that is basically programmed by adrenaline and fear. We're addicted to adrenaline from our time in the womb. Even before that, the egg that's released is released according to the conditions of 3-4 months ago of a woman's life, right? Same with sperm maturation. So what if we actually just prepared people to live in such a way that we could believe peace is possible and we could create the conditions for it? Because all I hear, you know, when you talked about the brain and you talk about the mind and being cerebral, we can only create the future from the past unless we drop into our hearts, right? The soul consciousness is in your heart. Divine humans walking this earth are ascended masters in training. We're all learning how to leave as little of a negative impact as possible, accept that death is a part of life. Suffering, you know, also is something that we grow through, but we don't need it to be the only way we learn. So we keep inheriting and living out our ancestors' stories without realizing that's what we're doing as a way of trying to understand them. And I believe our ancestors want to be freed from that, and our next generations want to be freed from that. But in order for that to happen, we've got to have a different relationship with this amazing beingness, our bodies and our soul light, and integrate the two so we've got as much soul light in our bodies as possible. And womb, I mean, I had it only dropped in about a month ago, which is hilarious, right? So I've been talking about creative energy, and I was like, your creative energy is your creator energy. That's your God energy. And it suddenly made sense. And it was like, okay, I always say to people, if you know, life imitates art, so you better make that art good. What is around you? What do you see? You know, what are you vibing with? And so the creative element is so blocked in all of us because we've been told not to value it. It's a nice to have. It's not an essential. And yet it is the most important thing, because that brain of ours can't tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined, right? So we can imagine a new reality into being. And that was where my star peace idea came from, which is another thing.
We could talk for hours. I love it. I love it. I love listening to your kind of theses on life. It's fantastic. I completely agree. Being an ex-teacher and lecturer, the creative side of us is actually again programmed. Is that how do you draw a flower? Oh, you draw it this way. How do you draw a house? Draw it this way. You know, the idea of being abstract. I was always accused of being too abstract in my art, and you know, because I love to create very abstractly. I just, you know, I've always brought in a multidimensional element to my art, but that was criticized, and you know, someone attempted to take that away from me, if you like. And that is such a metaphor for life, isn't it? Because it's like we are creative beings. We are created to. We're here to create. That's the only actual reason we're here, to create and to ascend and to, you know, come back to truth of love. So it is the programming, isn't it? I completely agree. That's the programming that sadly brings us to where we are. But the good thing is that it's being recognized. And actually, I feel there's been a real unfurling of creation, and I'm gradually seeing a creativity to, you know, even like media commerce in media. Sorry, not media, but you know, just business, leadership. There feels like a sudden openness to different ways, different choices, and different options. And obviously, so let's come on to your. We're going to go. They say you know, so when I'm speaking, doing interviews, I end up with these folders in my brain, like which one could I go down with her next? I've got about 10 open at the moment. I just promise it won't be on too long. But I want to bring it back down to women, because obviously, you know, I'm very much focusing on working with men. I really feel that men have had an incredibly difficult journey on knowing who they can truly be, on hiding shame, and actually allowing themselves to be fully present. And also that women haven't helped that, because women have presented as aggressive masculine energy, which has confused the whole scenario even more. There's been so many challenges for men. But we're going to be holding a retreat for the divine feminine. But I feel like there will be a divine masculine retreat after. Is that Rosie? So I'm just going to put that one on you right now, live.
Yes, absolutely.
Because and in part because, you know, the way we're working and what we're working with, we're working outdoors, we're working with nature, we're working in the fresh air, you know, fires, you know, circle time around fires, doing, you know, and that kind of real ethereal, just base kind of natural element of being, you know. Yes, there's a comfy bell tent to go and sleep in this beautiful retreat space on Forest Row. However, the day will be just dropping off and out of all the kind of the extras, the extra kind of the bit of, for the women or perhaps the men, makeup and, you know, the clothes. It's like actually getting down to basic. What would you say is your objective overall for this retreat, for the people that come on it?
What I felt guided, my guides were very, very clear. You need to put a heart call out to the women that are currently preparing to lead in the 4D to 5D bridge. So there is a set of women that are being prepared to step forward at this point to hold the energy of the Magdalene and Lady Nada flames. Now, these are different frequencies of the divine feminine that need to be integrated at this time in order for us to really be able to do what Jesus did, which is to part the seas, right? And, you know, I'm learning very intuitively about both of these flames. They started to come through the winter solstice, so in December. And I actually was floored for 10 days with, I never get physical stuff, but I got a backache that floored me for 10 days. And it was like I was receiving all of these codes. So essentially, what I've found on my journey is a fear of really stepping forward into my powers, speaking my truth because of previous history of persecution. In this life, being bullied as a child, also being told I was crazy and all sorts of stuff as I was growing up, and aware that the way I saw things was different to the people around me. Previous lives, let's face it, however many lifetimes we've had as a man or a woman, I believe those of us who are in feminine guise today have definitely been the witches that were burnt and have been through all sorts of ridicule, annihilation, persecution, to try and prevent us from being able to complete what we're here to do, which is to help in the reunification of our soul consciousness with our human self so that we can reascend into oneness with source. That was always the point of separating, was to learn who we were without that divine guidance and then choose willingly to reconnect with that guidance rather than it being just the way it is. And, you know, the world's divide at the moment is a choice between an automatron, you know, AI fueled New World Order, or us really, those people who are stepping forward and saying no, often have a religious connection. There's a lot of Christians stepping forward saying, no, I'm a sovereign being, I don't want this. And so there's this sense of a holy war going on, right? And, you know, it's so easy to trigger people with the things that we say. And all I'll say is if you're triggered, pay attention, because this is all part of the wounding we need to heal. Like you said, the men have had a terrible time. And I feel emotional as I say this, but probably the most horrible thing that has happened is what women do to women. And I've seen it in the labour ward. Shut up, get on the bed, do as you're told, or this will happen. I've seen, you know, like I said, I was in a situation yesterday. I was like, wow, I've been told to stop being a martyr and take this with dignity and whatever. And like some younger woman than me was trying to tell me how I should behave to gain the approval of others. And I'm just like, sorry to swear, fuck you, right? So that is actually a reaction, you know, and that is a reaction coming from pain. It's a true reaction. It's what I'm feeling. But the thing is, I can't be out in the world and be sharing this message if I'm in a reactionary state. It's not going to work. So all of these messages are coming to all of us that are being called to step forward. Frig, there's a lot of energy here now with that. And lead the way compassionately, you know, with soft hearts. We can roar like lionesses. We know our strength. But in order for this shift to occur, we can't do it from that rage. We can't do it from from a place of separation. We have to unify. We have to call back all the parts of us we've rejected, abandoned, betrayed, all the bits of us that we don't feel are good enough, are not worthy. Yep. The pointy finger's my favorite. Like, who do you think you are? I get that a lot in my consciousness, and it's like, I'll tell you who I am. But the main point is, this is a divine feminine retreat because we're all being gifted the upgraded codes to be able to be fully seen by those who were meant to be seen by, and protected for those we're meant to just not be seen by, and to be heard in all the places that are ready to hear us. Because none of us are going to do this on our own. This isn't like one woman, one man stepping forward. The only way is all of us banding together. And every man has a divine feminine and a wounded feminine inside of them, just like every woman does. And we all have a divine child and a wounded child. So, of course, there's a retreat for men coming. I love that you brought it up. And there's a retreat for those who are transgender. There's a retreat for those who don't identify with gender, because this is not about our gender. It's about the fact that there's a mother, father, God. It's about the fact that there's a Holy Spirit within each of us, right? And we're learning now how to receive the frequencies that will allow us to stabilize in 5D, access our divine wealth blueprint, which is really important because we're all brought into lack on every level. Yep. And to just walk with that infinite trust that is trusting in our inner authority, that we can walk into the unknown, and whatever's happened in the past isn't what's happening this time. So we're in what I call nature's swank pad. We've got this wonderful space that's totally secluded. Can be naked the whole time if we wanted, but I don't want anyone to be put off by that, because you don't have to be. And we're stripping away the superfluous and then bringing it all back in, but in a lovely integrated way through a series of physical practices, upgrades, soul healings. Maria is also going to be offering the sauna as a healing experience. We're going to go through a 4-stage ritual with that, which will be like our rebirth at the end of Saturday. And there's a pre-retreat part, which is the conception, where we'll gather online and meet each other, and I'm going to be connecting with everyone individually ahead of that anyway. And then we'll have the retreat, which is 3 days, 2 nights. That will be the pregnancy and the birth. And then we have the postnatal recovery, neonatal stage, where we kind of check in where we're at, get clear on our objectives, our intentions, what really came through, because I'm only just accepting what I really want to do in this world. It's taken me 22 years to do that. And I'm still scared I'm going to fail. I'm still scared. I'll give it a go. The honest truth is, and I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And you know what? That's fine. At least I tried. At least I did give myself a chance, because that's what I feel called for. And along the way, I'll discover it. So I feel all of us on some level are holding ourselves back because of this history, and we don't need to. And it is too scary to go out there on your own, but together, there's nothing that can stop us.
Amen to that. Absolutely. And it's time. And the downloads, we both channel a lot, and obviously me being the spirit Lilith, I'm getting all this from God, talking about, that's really focused on women, equality, and the key word as well that you have mentioned in your retreat on your website. So go to rosieglow.com.
The retreat info is not out there. We're in pre-booking phase, so they're going to need to contact you, and then I will release it. So you won't see it just
not
yet.
There yet.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery.
So contact me if you'd like to know about the retreat, and then I will obviously connect you with Rosie to have the full refresh. But the bit I was just going to refer to is the relevance of forgiveness, and that's something that I've been downloading a lot. That's my messages coming through from my guides and God about forgiveness to them, to others, for all that they've done. And again, it all comes back to that same principle of being fully, completely soft-hearted, open and allowing, and forgiveness of self is one of the most powerful things we can give ourselves. I really feel that, because ultimately, if we're unforgiving of others, if we're unforgiving and not letting go of others for doing X, Y, Z, whatever it is, then we're not let going of it for ourselves. We're unforgiving for ourselves. And I personally feel that's a very significant blockage to feeling fully free. And that is part and parcel. And I know I've seen that in your blurb for the event that you cover. Obviously, just to let you know, from my tribe's point of view, my input will be about energy, and about how the energy of our previous lives can manifest and continue to manifest as a loop in all our lives until we clear. And now is the time for clearing. And those that are being called, really, everyone is being called, but those that are hearing the call to step into their true divine self, to serve in a way that may be different, maybe like Rosie, maybe like me, maybe like offering, psychic readings, whatever it is. It may be Reiki, whatever it is. Then if any blockages are coming up, and anything that you just feel I can feel this sort of this transparent sheen of something that I keep just feeling every time I move forward, then please let me know, because it takes serious guts to step into this space. And especially as I call it, coming out the spiritual closet, if you've never done it before, and admitting, or actually just really declaring rather than admitting, who you truly are. And we've both done that, Rosie, and I know you won't fail. I don't believe in the word fail to start with. You have succeeded already. And I know that. I absolutely know that, and it's happened already as far as I'm concerned. So well done, you. It's very, very powerful what you're doing. It's going to be an amazing time. It's going to be September, so still warm. Not that we're bothered about that, because obviously we're very blessed to have clothing that we can keep warm with. But it's going to be incredible. We've also got Tara Love Perry, haven't we?
She's not going to be joining us. No, she's not going to be with us, because she's going to be in France, but she's with us in spirit. And I think what we're saying is, come what may, whatever comes along, we know it's perfect. And I think you embody that so beautifully, because it's so easy to get into the, why aren't things the way I want them to be? And it's like, we're not here to control every external circumstance. We're here to recognize our divinity and know we can deal with anything around us. Something you said about forgiveness is so important. And this is a huge reason why all the pregnancy stuff is so important to me. We all still currently grow in a womb, whether we're a man, woman, whatever our gender is. We grow in the womb of our mothers, and our mothers grew in the womb of their mothers. And ultimately, before we even think and choose our beliefs, we are being fed a cocktail of hormones all through the pregnancy. Our brains are just absorbing these baseline emotions, basically, that are our mothers, and it relate to how safe we feel in this world. So most of us, well, all of us, have trauma from previous generations. We only need to think about the world wars and to see the impact of that, and how from generation to generation we haven't been dealing with it. So there's so much unprocessed trauma in the collective and in each of us. And this is bringing the soul energy through that you said. I'll work with someone to deal with their life in this life, then their ancestors, and then their soul stuff as well. You're going straight to soul, but it's like going in layers. And it's so important we all have these different areas of speciality, if you like, because coming from a background of utter terror, just to give you a very brief background, my great-grandfather was beheaded outside the bank that he worked. And my great-grandmother was left basically escaping for her life, pregnant with my grandmother with a toddler in hand. Now that's my maternal grandmother, and this is the leg. I feel it so viscerally. My previous generations are just totally numbed out to it. They can't feel it, but it's been my journey to clear that, right? Lack, limitation, relationships, relation to self. And it's been such a healing to have a beautiful, I have my divine counterpart partner. I'm living a totally different life the one I wanted, right? The one I wanted. And it's the getting there. So, we bring this back to the retreat. We have to take care of our womb ecology as women. We have to understand that we've basically, all of us, grown in some form of womb toxicity, and we can clear that. But whatever you wake up with in the morning, whatever your normal sort of, where are you? Do you start worrying? Are you expecting dread? What is the thing? That's what is our normal. And that's what we have to upgrade. Because if we're expecting problems, we will have them. We know that there's this difference, isn't there, between I'll believe it when I see it which is the world we've been in the patriarchal system. And it's actually since science took over from religion, right? But we know now that we need to believe it first, and then we will see it. It's the other way around. So we're in this realm of pregnancy. You don't know what your baby's going to look like. You don't even know you're pregnant, except your bump's growing.
Flipping it all back up around the other way.
Yeah. So we've got to get our magic big time. Like on our own, it's so easy for the confidence to be eroded. But when you keep being reminded and you all like create your connections together, the web of light is created. That's what we've got to do. So the main aim of this retreat was to seed the new earth paradigm. The women that are coming forward, we have to vision, we have to dream up together around the campfire. What is the world we are choosing to create? Because most people who are in the resistance at the moment, who are questioning what's going on, are really focused on what's wrong, and they're pointing fingers and they're trying to pull the old world down. Fine, I understand. But if we haven't got enough of us over on the other side of the bridge actually building the new earth, we're a bit buggered. So we really need to sort that out. And those of us who are sensitives, emotional empaths, need to be on the other side building the new earth. So we are being called, and I keep getting the message to mention this, that it's not just spiritual folk that would be attracted to this. Yes, you are spiritually awakening. I would say you're on the 4D, 5D bridge. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, look it up right now. But I'm seeing headmistresses. I'm seeing people in the establishments that are there for key reasons because, there are loads of us positioned to take over, right? So, but they need our support. They need all of our support. So if you are someone in that world, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, whatever. Yeah. If your heart's calling you, get in touch ASAP. Pre-booking time is now, which means you get a discount. It is a high-end retreat, okay? For all the fact that we're in the swank pad of nature, there's a lot of support that's coming with it. And the post support will be that we continue as a group to have support, to have an accountability partner, and to keep seeding what we seed into our reality. So it goes on, basically. And that's what we're connecting to.
Yeah, fantastic. Beautifully summarized, Rosie. And also, if you need to be brought into a tribe, if you're really struggling, and you've summarized some great professions there, lawyers, I'm feeling like charity, heads of charity, that, just have this complete innate belief of what they're doing, but their spiritual self is calling. It's like ringing them all the time saying, come on. So this is the chance for a new tribe, and to find a new tribe and actually really exist within it. This is a tribe that will be a concrete one, and support you. And I know with something we've already done together, Rosie, this tribe that we're creating, it's so honest and it's so raw, and that is the whole point of it. And it's what's needed, because it can be a very lonely place to feel very spiritual and feel very aware of what's truly going on right now, but not be able to share it, not be able to express your views, to have family. And I've heard this so much. So many of women that really could come to this retreat have got family that are the opposite. They are completely switched off and they're really struggling. So it's a great place if you're feeling any of those things. So we'll bring it to a close. It's coming up in September. We would love to see you there. We really would. It will be one of the first of many. We've already planned that, Rosie.
It will, but this is unique because this is the leaders. I've heard a lot of people say, you're going to get this out to other people as well. And I feel like we're all seeding it because we're going to be disseminate. I always see the champagne glasses, like how we just send information down, but we are being called because we will be supporting each other, that everyone has a code for each other that's going to help them. It's like the keys to unlock the mystery, right? That's what I'm seeing. And also it's going to be a real sisterhood bonding, okay? Like there's 3 in each bell tent. There's maximum of 10 spaces. I've got 1 spot for someone who desperately doesn't want to be with anyone in that space, and that will be a slightly higher premium. But you're coming in to reconnect, to feel that you could trust the feminine again, whatever's happened in your life. Because for a long time, I hated women's circles, even though I was doing all this pregnancy work, because I felt so judged.
Same. Same.
It's like, oh, this is not going to be like that. Okay, it's not like that.
No, it will be a completely beautiful, safe space to be fully you, and we just will be thrilled for you to have joined us. But if you're a man watching this, then obviously do reach out if you're interested in the masculine version of this retreat that I'm sure we'll be holding soon.
Yes.
And obviously any comments or anything, then please reach out to Rosie at Rosie Glow on all her social media, or me, obviously. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Rick, bless Rick, he's an amazing photographer and videographer. So he said, great talk. Thank you for watching, Rick. We're really glad you enjoyed it, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Rosie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, sweetheart. I really appreciate the opportunity to share this with your tribe. Thank you all who take part, who feel the call, who energize this to whatever level. Please just remember to get in touch like now so that you can benefit from this week's price. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Thanks, Rosie. Lots of love to you. Blessings. Bye.
Lots of love. Bye.